What you're about to hear may completely shift the way you see yourself, your relationships, and the people you interact with every single day. Because whether you realize it or not, you are constantly surrounded by three distinct personality dynamics: sigma, alpha, and beta, and each one shapes the social world around you in ways you've probably never noticed. And here's the twist: the one you think you are might not actually be the one you operate from. This video will reveal the subtle signs hidden behind these personality labels. And by the time we reach the end, you'll see a pattern in yourself you've likely overlooked for years. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what separates a sigma from an alpha, why betas are misunderstood, and how these labels reflect deeper psychological realities rather than internet stereotypes. And make sure you stay with me until the final section, because that's where I explain the surprising reason why sigmas tend to outmaneuver both alphas and betas without anyone noticing. It's a reason grounded in real human behavior and backed by well-known psychological theories. To understand these personalities, you first need to know that humans naturally create hierarchies. In every group, even without trying, people instinctively sort themselves into roles. This isn't just a social trend. It's something researchers have observed for decades. In the 1960s, psychologist Robert Bales found that men in group settings fall into informal social structures long before they do into formal roles. This means these personality labels are not random. They mirror how people intuitively behave. But how does this play out in real life? That's where sigma, alpha, and beta dynamics begin to make more sense. Let's start with the alpha dynamic. The alpha personality is built around high visibility, presence, and influence. This person walks into a room and instantly commands attention without saying much. Their confidence is obvious, their behavior is assertive, and they naturally take leadership roles. Think of someone who always ends up leading group discussions, planning trips, or making big decisions. But here's a psychological detail many people miss. Alphas don't just dominate. They actually depend on social recognition. Their identity is fueled by external validation, even if they pretend otherwise. Studies in social dominance theory show that individuals with assertive tendencies often thrive in environments where their leadership is acknowledged. This is why you'll rarely see a true alpha stay isolated for long. They need a group to lead. However, the downside to this is that alphas can become stressed or insecure when their influence is challenged or ignored. And I'll explain why this insecurity matters later. So keep watching. On the opposite side, you have the beta personality: quiet, supportive, agreeable, and often misunderstood. Betas get labeled as weak or submissive, but that's an internet oversimplification that doesn't reflect real psychology. In reality, beta personalities are essential in group structures. They maintain harmony, reduce conflict, and support cohesion. Research in personality psychology shows that people high in agreeableness tend to be more emotionally stable, less confrontational, and more cooperative. This makes betas incredibly valuable because they provide the stability that groups rely on to function. But betas also face challenges. Their accommodating nature can cause them to be overlooked or undervalued. They might say yes when they want to say no, and they often prioritize others' needs before their own. If you've ever been the peacekeeper in your family or friend group, or the one everyone turns to because you're reliable, you might be operating from a beta pattern. The surprising part? Many betas have much deeper strengths than people recognize. And later in this video, I'll share why betas often evolve into sigmas without realizing it. Now, let's explore the sigma personality, the one the internet turns into a mysterious lone wolf archetype. But there's more truth to this idea than people think. The sigma personality represents independence, autonomy, and self-governance. Sigmas are not antisocial. They're selectively social. They don't reject society. They simply don't depend on it to define themselves. Unlike alphas, sigmas don't need external validation. Unlike betas, they don't adapt to group expectations. Instead, they operate from internal standards. Multiple studies on introversion and autonomy show that individuals with high self-direction tend to rely less on group dynamics and more on inner values. That's why sigmas often appear unpredictable. You can't influence them unless they allow you to. They're not trying to lead, but people frequently end up following them anyway because their independence is attractive and intriguing. A sigma doesn't announce who they are. They simply move with intention, observe more than they speak, and act without seeking approval. This internal focus is what makes them powerful. To understand the contrast more clearly, imagine a simple scenario. A group of friends is planning a trip. The alpha takes charge, organizes the schedule, assigns tasks, and makes decisions. The beta supports, offers help, listens to everyone's preferences, and ensures things run smoothly. The sigma? They quietly pick the dates that suit them, decide where they want to go, and join only if the plan aligns with their priorities. They don't argue, they don't compete, and they don't ask for permission. This is why sigmas are associated with autonomy. Their choices are rooted in personal clarity. Here's an open loop. The surprising reason sigmas attract more admiration than alphas is something most people never expect, and I'll reveal it shortly. Now let's break down the psychology behind these personality types in deeper detail. One thing that separates alphas from sigmas is their relationship with attention. Alphas thrive on being seen. They enjoy recognition. Their confidence is often tied to performance in public settings, like social gatherings or group activities. They enjoy the spotlight because it confirms their role. But sigmas view attention differently. They don't chase it, and because of that, they often receive even more of it unintentionally. This is supported by the theory of social magnetism. People are naturally drawn to those who appear self-sufficient and grounded. When someone moves quietly and confidently without trying to impress, it creates intrigue. People want to know what they're thinking, what they're doing, and what makes them so calm in a chaotic world. This contrast explains why a sigma can walk into the same room as an alpha and still be the most noticed, even without saying a word. In contrast, betas form the foundation of social environments. Their compassion and loyalty are the glue that holds groups together. But betas often struggle with one internal conflict. They fear disappointing others. This fear can lead them to stay quiet, hide their preferences, or sacrifice their needs. Yet, this same emotional intelligence is what makes betas capable of deep empathy, strong long-term relationships, and emotional resilience. Many people who appear passive on the surface actually have a deeper emotional maturity than the loudest person in the room. Psychology research shows that agreeableness correlates strongly with long-term relationship success. So while alphas may be admired and sigmas respected, betas are often the ones people trust. Here's the interesting twist. Many people move between these roles depending on the environment. A person can be an alpha at work, a beta at home, and a sigma in their personal projects. Personality is dynamic, not fixed, and the context you're in brings out different parts of who you are. But usually, one of these patterns becomes your dominant style. That dominant pattern explains your confidence level, your relationship style, how you handle conflict, and even how you pursue goals. Now it's time for the story moment. Years ago, a well-known case study examined leadership behavior in young adults during a university project. A group of 6 students had to complete a complex assignment. One student naturally took charge. He organized tasks and directed others. He fit the alpha profile perfectly. Another student remained helpful but quiet, taking on support roles, staying diplomatic, and reducing conflict, clearly a beta. But there was a third student who changed the dynamic. He didn't volunteer for anything. He didn't argue. He simply said he'd contribute in his own way and at his own pace. At first, the others found this confusing, but it quickly became clear he was producing some of the most important parts of the project. His independent approach ended up guiding the entire structure of their final presentation. By the end, both the alpha and beta deferred to him, not because he asked for control, but because he demonstrated quiet competence. That student represented the sigma dynamic, someone who influences not through dominance or compliance, but through autonomy and skill. This example shows how these personalities manifest in real-life situations, far beyond internet stereotypes. Returning to the psychology, one of the strongest contrasts between alphas and sigmas is how they handle conflict. Alphas confront it head-on. They react quickly, speak directly, and often rely on power dynamics. This is why they excel in leadership, but can also escalate tension. Sigmas, on the other hand, analyze conflict from a distance. They don't react impulsively. They observe, calculate, and choose whether the situation is worth their energy. This emotional detachment makes them appear calm and strategic. Betas often avoid conflict entirely, not because they're afraid, but because they value peace. They try to solve problems through compromise and emotional connection. Each style has strengths. The alpha resolves things fast, the sigma resolves things intelligently, and the beta resolves things harmoniously. Now, let's get into communication styles. Alphas tend to be direct, expressive, and commanding. They speak with confidence and expect others to follow. Betas communicate gently. They listen more than they talk, ensuring others feel understood. Sigmas communicate selectively. They say only what matters. This selective communication is one reason Sigmas are seen as mysterious. People pay more attention to someone who doesn't talk much because every word seems more intentional. Another major difference lies in motivation. Alphas are motivated by impact. They want to influence their environment. Betas are motivated by connection. They want harmony, relationships, and emotional comfort. Sigmas are motivated by purpose. They want independence and self-mastery. A Sigma will walk away from situations that don't align with their values, even if everyone else approves. This level of independence is rare, which is why Sigmas often feel detached from common social expectations. Here's the open-loop payoff I promised earlier. The reason Sigmas often outmaneuver alphas is because alphas are predictable. Their behavior is visible, assertive, and straightforward. Sigmas, on the other hand, move silently. They set boundaries without announcing them, make decisions based on logic rather than group influence, and don't react to social pressure. This unpredictability gives them an advantage in environments where social dynamics are constantly shifting. Meanwhile, betas often adapt the fastest emotionally, which allows them to build strong networks quietly. Each personality has hidden strengths that most people never consider. And this brings us to the final insight. The internet loves to glorify alphas and sigmas while dismissing betas. But the truth is that every personality plays a role in modern psychology. Alphas bring direction. Betas bring harmony. Sigmas bring innovation. None is better than the other. They are simply different expressions of human behavior. Understanding these patterns helps you see your strengths instead of comparing yourself to others. It helps you recognize how you respond to pressure, how you form relationships, and how you navigate the world. At the end of the day, these personality types aren't boxes, they're mirrors. They reveal how you operate, what drives you, and how you stand out in ways you might not have realized. And now that you understand the psychology behind Sigma, Alpha, and Beta personalities, you're better equipped to understand not just who you are, but why you behave the way you do. If you found this eye-opening, make sure you like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more deep, mind-shifting breakdowns.